42%. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to industry data, that's how much of our engineering time is spent on pure rework. We're talking about code that passed every single review, got the green light, and then completely fell apart in production. This isn't just some small inefficiency. It's a massive hidden leak that's draining our resources, our time, and our will to innovate.
And all that rework, it creates this invisible debt. We're all using AI coding tools to go faster, which is fantastic, right? But here's the catch. Speed without any guardrails means every single AI-generated function is a potential ticking time bomb. Every commit that slips through without deep context adds to this debt that just keeps compounding, silently eating away at the core of our systems. By the time we actually see the cracks, it's usually way too late.
And you want to know what the most frustrating part is? The knowledge to stop these failures, it's already there. It's just scattered everywhere. In wikis, in old postmortems, buried in Confluence. But the most valuable source of all, it's in the head of your senior engineer. And the second they walk out the door for a new job, all that priceless institutional knowledge just evaporates. It's gone. And we're all stuck learning the same painful lessons over and over again.
Look, AI is great at helping us type faster, but helping us think better, that's a whole different ballgame. Unless you have something to govern it. And that's exactly where CORTEX comes in. It's a system built from the ground up to bring order, to bring memory, and to bring real intelligence to all of this chaos.
This really gets to the heart of the problem that every engineering team is wrestling with today. It's a paradox. We are all under constant pressure to move faster, to ship more. But that very speed, when it's unchecked, introduces massive systemic risk. It's like we're accelerating into a thick fog, with no map, no GPS, nothing. So, how do we find a way through? CORTEX stands for Cognitive Real-Time Execution. Now, let's be really clear about something. This is not another tool designed to replace something like GitHub Copilot. Not at all. Instead, think of it as a governed orchestration layer that sits between you and your AI tools. It's less of a tool and more of, well, an engineering operating system. So, how does it all work? Well, CORTEX is built on 3 foundational pillars. Let's dig into the first one. Understand everything. The philosophy here is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You can't build correctly if you don't have total awareness of what you're building on. This deep understanding comes from something we call the lens pipeline. Before you even type your first keystroke, it's already read your entire repository. It analyzes the language and the structure. It examines your code for both the good patterns you want to replicate and the risky anti-patterns you need to avoid. It navigates the incredibly complex web of dependencies. And finally, it creates a synthesis, a complete live map of your entire codebase. And what powers this whole pipeline? A curated knowledge base of over 140 structured best practice files. And we're not just talking about theory here. This covers everything from hardcore security and architecture patterns to detailed migration playbooks, and it spans 15 different engineering domains. This is not a static wiki that goes out of date. It's living, versioned knowledge that gets surfaced at the exact moment you need it most. And remember all that scattered knowledge we talked about earlier? Well, CORTEX actually tames it. It has a document ingest pipeline that automatically consumes all those unstructured documents, your Word docs, PDFs, PowerPoints, you name it, and it magically converts them into traceable, structured engineering guidance. That means every single recommendation is backed by a source, and every decision is totally auditable. Okay, so having a deep understanding of the codebase is one thing, but making that knowledge useful is a whole other challenge. This brings us right to our second pillar, empower everyone. CORTEX takes that deep understanding and translates it into tailored, actionable insights for every single person on the team.
This is all done through what we call the intelligence diamond. It works on 3 distinct tiers. Down at the base, you have the skull layer. This enforces all the static rules, things like naming conventions and over 60 different governance thresholds. The core layer is smarter. It actually recognizes complex patterns like code smells and architectural drift long before they become technical debt. And right at the top, you have the CORTEX layer, which reasons strategically across more than 350 specialized engines to help you break down complex problems and weigh critical trade-offs. So what does this actually mean for you and your team? Well, for an engineer, it's like having a senior pair programmer who knows the entire code base and, get this, never gets tired.
For product owner, it means your acceptance criteria are traceable directly to the code that's running in production. Architects, you get real-time validation. Leaders get automated compliance evidence. Security gets defense in depth. And SREs, you get pipelines that can actually start to heal themselves. All right, deep understanding and total empowerment leads us directly to the third and final pillar: build fearlessly. This is all about completely transforming governance from something that slows you down into the very thing that enables you to build with speed and with quality. This whole idea forces us to ask a really tough question. When we're talking about our core systems, the stuff our business absolutely depends on, is a quick one-pass check, a good enough review, ever actually good enough? We all know the traditional approach of manual reviews lets critical issues slip right through the cracks. So just imagine a new piece of code gets committed. An initial scan immediately flags a bunch of issues, let's say 12 critical violations. In a typical workflow, some of these might get missed, some might get ignored, or maybe just deferred, and boom, more invisible debt. But Cortex uses something called the Universal Convergence Gate. And the key thing to understand is that this is not a one-pass check. It is a relentless loop. It detects every violation, it provides guided help on how to fix it, and it immediately rescans. It just keeps iterating over and over until it achieves its one and only goal. And what is that goal? 0. The loop is engineered to iterate until the code is provably, absolutely clean. It does not stop until there's 0 critical violations left. And that is how governance becomes an accelerator instead of a bottleneck. And this foundation is secured even further. It uses 4 different root cause analysis methods to make sure every incident gets captured and turned into a prevention rule. That's how you build real institutional memory. 15 of your core source directories are permanently protected, backed by SHA-validated rollback protection. Your foundation is, quite simply, locked down. So when you bring these 3 pillars together, total understanding, universal empowerment, and fearless building, what you get is a fundamental transformation. You arrive at the end of a false choice that has plagued engineering teams for decades. The choice between velocity and rigor is a false choice. With a system of governed orchestration, you no longer have to sacrifice one for the other. You get to have both. You get speed and safety, momentum and discipline, innovation and stability. The paradox is finally resolved.